Today I want to talk to you about one of the most underappreciated and underrated stones in the semi-precious industry. Right, you guessed it, it's red jasper. I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're thinking, red jasper, I don't care. But I think we should just put a little bit more emphasis on this very, very important stone that just doesn't get the credit it deserves. Red jasper actually is considered an impure form of jasper, since it has a lot of iron content that makes it its color red. Jasper in general tends to be an aggregate of microcrystalline quartz, meaning that it's just basically a collection, a mass collection of tiny, tiny little crystal particles. And so all these tiny, tiny little crystal particles are coming together as one to create an aggregate, which is your jasper. Red jasper in particular is most likely going to be associated with, you guessed it, the root chakra. Now, everybody associates everything red with the root. So just because you're eating tomato sauce does not mean you're connecting to the root chakra. At the same time, people love associating their stones with their chakras. Just to get into that a little bit deeper, what does that actually mean, and why is red jasper associated with the root chakra? Now, while the root chakra fundamentally is going to represent things like being able to take care of yourself, love for yourself, self-efficiency, self-awareness, all things relating to you and yourself and your ability to produce a survival and thriving kind of situation for yourself. So in the root chakra, we're surviving, we're thriving, we're moving forward, we're becoming full-blown adults, we're becoming real human beings, we're becoming self-efficient, we're knowing who we are, we're understanding who we are, we're developing a love for ourselves. Where does that bring jasper into the play then? Because everyone is just so quick to say, red jasper, root chakra, boom. And so I started asking myself, where's the connection actually? And how did people get to the connection? You can't just say, hey, one thing is red and so is that thing, so we're just gonna connect the two together. I think in order for us to begin, we should go back in history. We do see red jasper showing up in the Hosen, which was the breastplate of Aaron the high priest, and actually was one of the top tier stones in the breastplate, which typically there was 12 of them. They represent astrological signs, but red jasper did show up in the Hosen, which was essentially protecting Aaron the high priest when he went into the temple from burning in hellfire. So shout out to red jasper for protecting Aaron the priest from burning to death. Round of applause. You can also go back into ancient Egyptian times where we see red jasper being used primarily as a dye, as a form of coloring, but we also see it in many different types of jewelry and ornaments. Really weird actually, there's a couple of vases that are made out of red jasper. So I wonder if like someone back in the day was like a vase maker and this like the pharaoh shows up and is like, hey, I need like the super special vase and I really want it to be the best vase because it's like for my birthday. But anyway, fast forward, we find these red jasper little vases being made. So it really shows us the emphasis and the importance that people back in history really put on red jasper. Jasper actually means spotted or speckled stone, which is really interesting because if you really get close to the surface and look at jasper up close, you can see these spotted speckles as they are. And really what they are is just very small, fine microcrystalline crystals. They could also be chalcedony. But with that being said, here's where I want to get into the importance of it. If we're looking at this as an aggregate, meaning a collection, a mass collection of very, very small and tiny things, it kind of reminds me of humankind. It kind of reminds me of all life on Earth, actually. Because if you go all the way up in space and you look down on Earth, you don't see all of us. You don't see little people walking around. You don't see the birds, the bees, the ants, the lions, the cats, the cows, the dogs, the trees. You don't see any of that. All you see is just a big old ball of rock and water. And it really brought to my mind, it said, you know what? How do we know that when we look at something big and solid, that it doesn't have a lot more going on than what we see on the surface? And then I said, you know what? If I apply that to myself, what does that mean? If I am looking at myself as just one person, or if I'm looking at other people as just one person, am I really getting to see the idiosyncrasies and the little details around what makes a person tick and who a person actually is? And then that led me even further down the line of thinking, which is that, am I aware of who I am and all of what makes me me? And am I aware of you and what makes you you? And if we are essentially just like jasper, an aggregate, a collection of all these tiny little particles, what does that really mean for us? And so I challenge us to think ahead and ask ourselves, if I am just an aggregate myself, then what am I really? Anyway, if you liked my video, if it made any sense, which I don't even know if it made sense to me, but I hope it made sense, smash that subscribe button. I mean, put the phone on the floor, jump off the top rope onto the subscribe button. That's how hard I need you to smash the subscribe button for me. Like the video too. I mean, do whatever you want. I love you. See you next time.